This is John Zaninovich. Welcome to Move My Mass. You'll be hearing from great guests talk about balancing life and being fit. Hey Arturo, thank you for coming on to this episode of Move My Mass. Been looking forward to having you on. One of my favorite things is the story of how you're the first personal trainer I've ever used, and actually the only. I've never used one before except for you, which everyone, by the way, I highly recommend. We'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, I was, you worked at In Shape. And so I go on there one day, I'm like, okay, I need to step my game up. I need to get a personal trainer. And never really had a reason why I was going to or not, but I just figured it was time. But I will say that it was in my head. I'm like, well, I just have to walk up to the desk and tell them I want a personal trainer because they offer the service. But I was really nervous about the one I'd get. Like, what if we're not compatible? I mean, I know I can go through the system and interview who I want and do all that, but it was just like, I hope I got the right one, or I hope I'm going to get the right one right off the bat because I want to start working out with somebody right away. And, as I'm working out and looking around, I knew that I'm like, okay, just judging books by their cover, like there's some that I don't want. And who knows, they might have been the best ever, but admitting what I'm thinking, So I walk up one day and I say, hey, I want to look into your personal training services you have here. And they're like, well, everybody's gone. And the personal trainer, manager or whatever, she's gone. And I'm like, oh, no worries. I'm in here every day working out. So I'm leaving the gym and this lady runs, I forget her name, but she runs out. She goes, hey, I hear they just told me that you're looking for a trainer. I said, yeah. And she says, I've got the perfect guy for you. She didn't tell me your name, but she set up an appointment for the next day or whatever it was, maybe a couple days later, because it's like, 4 years ago or so? More
3
or less.
years.
3 years. And I come back, I'm like, all right, please be a good one. And of course I knew I could change it, but and she introduced me to you, we met and got hooked up and all that. And I'm like, this is going to work. Personal trainers are fit, but I could just tell. But the best part of it all was once I got to know you and you're telling me you're a former Marine, telling me your story and all that, I'm like, now I know. Like, you hadn't even given me a workout. We haven't even talked about what we're going to do.
Yep.
But the second you told me you're a former Marine, I'm like, I'm good.
Right.
Whatever the workouts are, I know they're going to be good. I know they're going to be hard. I know it's going to work out. So tell me the story of how you became a Marine. How did that all happen?
All right. Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah.
My story into the Marine Corps started my senior year, high school. I was originally planning to be in the Navy. A lot of my family members are retired from the Navy, and I knew that I wanted to be in the military. Just didn't know differences between branches. I just figured I'll just do what's comfortable with my family and just go the Navy route, travel the world. So I went through the entire process. I took the test through the Navy recruiter, and I remember being at his office one time, and I had already noticed other recruiters. I didn't know what branch they were in. They were just outside. It was raining, and they were exercising.
And where is this?
Here in Bakersfield.
Okay.
There used to be an office off of Stockdale. It's not there anymore, but it was raining. I was in the naval recruiter office filling out paperwork, and the naval recruiters were kind of like poking fun of those recruiters that were outside. They were Marine Corps recruiters. And they were outside yelling, having fun, doing pull-ups. They were about to go on a run. And I kind of peeked over and caught my attention. I was like, who are those guys? That's what I want to be doing. I don't want to be inside. These guys are making fun of those guys, but honestly, I'd rather be doing that. So I found out they were Marine Corps recruiters. And as soon as I found out that they were about to go on a run in the rain after doing pull-ups, I kind of told the Navy recruiter, I think the Marine Corps is my calling. And I switched over.
I love that story. I love that story. And yeah, for sure, when you did tell me that, I'm like, I've got the right trainer. The right trainer.
I think I've the Marine Corps spends the less amount of money on recruiting, but they have the most effective recruiting out of all the branches. And if you pay attention to how they recruit, they're kind of counter to every other branch. Every other branch is kind of like funneling you into their office. And the Marine Corps is kind of just, if you look at the advertisements on the freeway, it's just a Marine's face, not even smiling,
right.
Just a stoic face, and it just says Marines. That's it.
That's all.
If you want to join, if you want to become a Marine, come on by. If not, no offense to the other branches, you can go join another branch.
Yeah. So tell me about, or they call it basic training. Tell me about
boot camp basic training.
Tell me about that experience. Get deep. Well, what was it like?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can get super deep here.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Fun.
It was fun.
It was.
That's not the word I thought you were going to say.
Not while I was in there. Of course not.
I bet.
Yeah, I immediately regretted it after probably a couple of minutes of being in there, being yelled at. But I went in September 2008 to MCRD San Diego. So anyone that joins the Marine Corps on the west side of the Mississippi goes to San Diego. Anyone that joins the Marine Corps on the east side of the Mississippi goes to Parris Island. First day, right off, not even off the bus, in the bus, the drill instructors come in the bus and they just start creating chaos, just screaming at you. And of course, me being 17 years old, I've never been yelled at like that ever in my life. So panic, my heart is racing, just straight up chaos.
Yeah.
And which is what the drill instructors are wanting. They want you to just panic. And it was like that for 3 straight months, just controlled chaos. The drill instructors just push you to uncomfortable, stressful situations all day long, every single day for 3 months, nonstop. That was at that point in my life, that was the hardest thing I had ever done.
It's probably the hardest thing anybody does, I think, ever.
Yeah,
I'm assuming that's rather than Marines, right?
Looking back at my life now, that's probably the easiest thing I've done. But yeah, at 17 years old, that's for sure the hardest thing I'd ever been through.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The worst experience during boot camp? What was that?
The worst experience?
Shin splints.
Shin splints, yeah. So at no point during boot camp are you walking. You're running everywhere. You're running to go to the restroom. You're running to go run, to go do your test, a run test.
Yeah.
If you get caught walking, it's a good luck. It's not even an option. The word walking doesn't exist. You forget how to walk normally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had never run that much, of course, in high school. And I was in cross country. So we ran a lot in high school.
Right.
Not as much as boot camp though. Non-stop running everywhere you went, to the point where after a couple of months of doing that, I developed shin splits, which is a bunch of micro fractures on your legs, and that's extremely painful. yeah, living through that was mental challenge, physical and mental challenge.
And you mentioned, as you know, we were talking earlier that you didn't want to show any weakness. You were in charge of your group.
Right.
You can't show weakness.
Right.
You can't fail,
right.
or else you're just really going to get hammered. So you just fought through it.
Right.
And you.
So the moment you get to boot camp, you start realizing that there's a pecking order starts to happen. First of all, everyone that joins kind of has an alpha male mentality. Everyone wants to have their chest puffed out. Everyone wants to walk around and show to the next recruit that you're the best recruit.
Yeah.
You're not a Marine yet. You're a recruit. You have to earn to be called a Marine. So day one, the drill instructors are already kind of weeding out who has a natural leadership role, character, and who are the role players. And growing up, I kind of was an introvert. I wasn't really out there. I was a band geek. I played music, the trumpet, all throughout high school. And I joined the Marine Corps, and I realized that, hey, I want to do that leadership position. I don't want to be a role player. There was something innate inside of me that wanted to shine to the top.
Yeah.
So
that brought it out of you, the Marines.
Yeah. And I honestly didn't even know that was part of me. That I had that inside of me until I was exposed to a situation like that. So I kind of just held on and went along for the ride.
Right.
And so I became the guide, which is the leader of the platoon. And a platoon consisted of around 100 recruits from all throughout the country. Well, from the west of the Mississippi.
Okay.
So the drill instructor noticed something inside of me, and I had the no quit mentality. So they made me the leader. And yeah, towards the back end of boot camp, experiencing those shin splits, extremely painful, and having to do all the exercises and all the running and climbing mountains. I couldn't show that I was broken, because then I didn't want to get held back and then have to do all that all over again.
Yeah, because that's what happens. You tell them you need to go to medical, it starts you over. Is that what happens? Or depending on the injury? Or
you kind of don't want to show.
You just don't want to show weakness.
Well, yeah, that because you don't want to show it, because they're going to make you restart. If it's that bad, they're going to make you start all over again. And if it's not anything at all, then the instructors realize, oh, you're just trying to get out of it. You're just complaining.
Yeah.
You're assuming that we're just going to let you sit this one out. So
not an option.
Not an option. And if you're in a leadership position, the other recruits can see all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely don't want to show any kind of backing off. So I kind of had to just step it up. Luckily, I didn't get injured, and pushed through it. Graduated December 2008.
Yeah. So you were a Marine during the Obama administration,
yes,
correct? And you mentioned that it was a great experience serving during that time, and but you had some special circumstance. You got to. I don't know what the position is, but you got to greet him when he would come off of Marine One. Is that the right phrase?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me about how does that come about? How do you become that person in the Marines?
So I spent 3 years in the regular, what's called the Fleet Marine Force, which is the deployable side of the Marine Corps. And then there is a second side to the Marine Corps, which is kind of like what a recruiter is. You're doing the job of the Marine Corps, but CONUS, it's called CONUS. Your job is in country.
Okay.
So you're a recruiter. A drill instructor is another type of that. Falls into that category. And in my case, I was a Marine One crew chief. So my job was to anywhere the president wanted to go, along with Secret Service, we went.
Right.
And without divulging too much information, because I can't, yeah, anything that involved transporting the president through helicopter means, we were in charge of the Marine Corps side.
But that seems pretty that seems like another level besides being a recruiter. Like,
Yes.
so how were you chosen? Is it a volunteer system? Like, hey, I want to go do that, or they see you and they pick you for that? How does that work?
Yeah, it's a selective. It's extremely selective.
I can only imagine. You're right next to the president.
Right. So I was auditioning for it before I even knew that I was auditioning for it. So for the first 3 years of my career, I was a mechanic, aviation mechanic. So I just worked on helicopters,
Right.
CH-53 helicopter to be specific, which is the biggest helicopter in the military. And kind of came up the ranks, became a good mechanic to the point where people started noticing my work ethic and what type of Marine I was.
Yeah.
Because there's two sides. There's the green side, which is what you do as a Marine, and then your job as a mechanic. So all those have to be aligned, and you have to be proficient in both of them. And also what you do outside of work. So you had to be A+ student all across the board. But I didn't know that I was leading myself into that position until got deployed to Afghanistan in 2010, came back, and in my shop there was a bunch of mechanics. So all we did was just grease monkeys. We just worked on engines, transmissions, and I noticed that these Marines were walking around they looked like recruiters, polished in our uniform.
Huh. While they're working on helicopter.
Well, they were walking around where we were, which is not normal.
I got you. Okay, I got you.
Because we're all in our uniforms to work on engines, and these guys are out here
Right.
with their dress uniforms on. And it looked odd to me. So one of my sergeants called me into the office, and they told me, go upstairs. They want to see you upstairs. And I didn't even ask. I just knew that I was getting a break from working outside.
Right.
Because this is in North Carolina, humid, summer.
Miserable.
Right. So anytime we got to go upstairs, which is where our admin offices were, we were happy because that's where the AC was.
Yes.
That meant that we got to clean off because you couldn't go up there dirty, smelling like jet fuel. So I was just happy to get a little break to go upstairs.
Yeah.
I go into the conference room and they tell me to sit down, and they introduce themselves. They're the selection team for the presidential flight detachment. So after about a year of screening, I got the notice that I passed all their tests, and I got transferred from North Carolina to Virginia. I forgot the name of the base. Quantico, Virginia. Sorry. That's where HMX. The unit is called HMX.
Okay.
HMX-1, or Presidential Squadron, Helicopter Squadron. And once you get there, now you're in another pool. Now everyone passed that extensive selection. And once you get there, they filter it out even more.
And when you get there, how many are in the pool, more or less?
I would say like 10 or 15 Marines.
Oh, so a small pool.
Out of the entire Marine Corps.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, so they need to filter that down even further. So they start to look for everything. What is your physical fitness time? What are your physical fitness scores? We know you're a good Marine, you're a good mechanic. So now we're going to start looking at all these details to see who stands out even more. Who's doing after-work education, college education? Are you bettering yourself, or are you just showing up to work and doing a good job and then clocking out?
Yeah.
So all those things are now coming into play. Yeah. And that's where I finished my last 2 years in the Marine Corps. I got to travel the world. I got to travel the entire country.
So, but back to the presidential detail, how often would you be, I don't even know, how often is he on Marine
Pretty
One?
often.
Yeah, a couple times a week?
Yeah.
Right.
Even if the helicopter doesn't come into play, anywhere he went, there needs to be some type of a
Okay, so it's not just a helicopter. Wherever he goes, you're going.
yes, yeah.
Oh.
So just I don't know if you've ever seen a presidential motor pool. There's like 50 cars.
Yes. I've just never paid that much attention to where the Marines are.
Yeah, we're supposed to be there, but not seen.
Makes sense. Well, you guys do a good job at it.
Yeah. Just kind of like the Secret Service. There's a visible side and then there's a invisible side of the Secret Service that you don't see. Yeah, so that's what anywhere he went, anytime he moved, we moved. We moved before he moved. So
Right. Yeah, that's you should be very proud. I'm sure you are, but you
yes.
definitely should be. Yeah. So how does that now we're going to get into personal training. What made you so you leave the Marines and your time's done and
Right.
you become a personal trainer? Was it a direct transition or what was after the Marines?
school. So I went to Cal State San Marcos, which is in the North County, San Diego area. I went there for 2 years, and the last 3 years I went here to Cal State Bakersfield. So my main focus was originally was nursing. I wanted to be a registered nurse, so I did all those classes. But I also loved training, exercise, the exercise science, physiology. And so I started studying kinesiology courses as well.
Yeah.
I started taking those in tandem with all the nursing prereqs. So while doing the kinesiology, I just decided, you know what, I could do something with this information as opposed to just retaining it. I could help some people.
Okay.
I realized that I was a Marine and I had kind of a unique experience coming back to my hometown, and I realized I could do something with that information. Why not use it?
For sure.
So then I got certified through the National Academy of Sports Medicine, certified personal trainer. And then I started working. That was 3 or 4 years after the Marine Corps.
Okay. And was in shape here where I met you. Was that your first position?
Yes, that was my first training position here.
Right. So, your personal training, been through the Marines, which no excuses allowed.
Right.
I assume in the Marines, they're just
do it.
Yeah, you either do it or you don't. And if you don't, it's because you just can't.
Right.
There's no freaking way you can do it.
Right.
I can only imagine going from that to becoming a personal trainer and dealing with the general public. Was that a big adjustment or was it easy? Like,
No,
how was that transitioning into personal training?
But luckily, I had that 4-year break in between where I was a student and I dealt with non-military members. So it kind of toned me down a little bit.
So you got to de-escalate
a
touch.
If I would have gone straight from Marine Corps to training, I probably would have gotten into some trouble. Probably would have been fired from a couple of gyms for screaming too loud or cussing at people. Or
sorry, killed another member.
Yeah. So I got the bro science part of it from the Marine Corps. And then I went to school and I learned the actual science, learned how to talk to people. Basically got more well-rounded education. And then I transitioned into dealing with the general public, civilians, working at InShape. And I understood that I kind of had a different mentality. I didn't want to come off too harsh, too stoic. I didn't want to seem unapproachable. So I understood that. So it was a pretty easy transition being a student to actually training people. It was fun. I loved it.
Well, I know what I really enjoyed about having you as a trainer was, I'm always wondering, this guy's a Marine. So in my opinion, you were the perfect trainer. You were calm, cool, and collected, told me what to do, described everything perfectly. And then every once in a while, he'd say, nah, I'm about to kick your ass. This one's going to hurt.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, people think, oh, you're going to go, it's ass kicking from the time you walk in the door. No, I don't know, workouts shouldn't be like that all the time.
Right.
But yeah, every once in a while you would just say, this is the difference between you working out on your own and working out with me.
Right.
And I think about it all the time. Every time I'm in the gym working out, literally, I think every time. And I'm doing a set, like, okay, I'm going to aim for 10 reps on this set of whatever it is.
Right.
I'm at 8, 9 reps, and I know I can go well past 10. I just got it. I always think of you. You're like that 11th, 12th, 13th rep, that's the difference.
Right.
Right. Now, if it's consistently happening, well, obviously you're lifting too light.
Right.
But when you have it, and it's so, that made you the perfect trainer. And I always look forward to it. I'm like, wonder if that's coming today. Because some days you're like, okay, we're going to work out, and we get it done. And it was always hard, always perfect. And some days it'd be like, I think you just had it in you. Like you must have ate your Wheaties that morning or something. Like, I'm going to kick John's ass today.
Yeah, no, I still remember. I would say, all right, today's going to be, we're going to throw a little bit of fuel in the fire today.
Yep.
Let's get this fire started early.
Yeah, it was. So they were always good. So you must have had some. Do you have any pet peeves as a trainer? Like what? Besides the obvious, somebody not putting effort in, but you ever have like you have a pet peeve with a trainee where you're just like
being late.
You gotta stop that. Being late. That's your.
If we start at 7, then you better be here at 6:45 warming up.
Get your warm up in.
Right.
Warm up doesn't count during my time.
Right.
Right. Or our time.
And of course, I understand that everyone has their own life. They're busy. They have a family. But I would like to tell people, you do everything the rest of the day for so many other people, your kids, for your coworkers, for your boss. Treat this 1 hour, hour and a half, 45 minutes, however long you work out. This is your time. Take advantage, like embrace it, lean into it. If you're going to work out with a trainer, be excited for it. Don't think about it as another task added to your day. Think about it as you're doing this for yourself. As a trainer, I'm here to help you, and I'm going to hold you accountable. If you're paying me to hold you accountable, I'm going to hold you accountable.
Right. And, of course, I don't train with you anymore. And the only reason I don't is because the transition in business and everything, I just,
right.
I was not going to keep continuing to call you or text you and say, I can't make it at 5:30 this morning. I got to work out later. I got, things were just so hectic. But yeah, that is I never thought of it as a task. It was like, it's so motivating to have somebody like, I got to go work hard for him.
Right.
It's always motivating.
Right.
But, and you mentioned, having a family and all that, and you have such a busy, crazy life with 4 kids,
yes.
6, 5, 2, and infant, right? Is that the age?
5 months old, yeah. The youngest is 5 months old.
So you leave in shape, and now you've started your own personal training business called Callus.
Correct.
Spelled Kales.
Right.
So tell me how you came up with the name and what's the meaning behind it.
So I've always been, again, this is growing up here, local. I remember my grandpa showing me his hands and feeling just how I felt like he had dried glue on his hands, and he would explain to me how there were calluses. And my dad as well, just touching his hands and feeling the hardness of the skin. I never really asked any questions, but whenever I grew up and I joined the Marine Corps and started doing all these pull-ups, I remember the cutoff to do, if you wanted to be 100% in your physical training, you had to do minimum 20 pull-ups in the Marine Corps, nonstop, just all the way down, all the way up. No bent arm pull-ups.
No kipping.
No kipping. Just straight pull-ups. And I remember when I first started doing them, my hands would hurt after about 5 or 6. So much that I would have to jump off and kind of like shake my hands out. And I would look at my hands and I would see just the red marks on my hands. So I just kept doing them over and over. The months went on, years went on, until I was just able to do 20 pull-ups, more than 20 pull-ups. And my hands didn't hurt anymore. And I realized that I had developed these thick, massive calluses in my hands. And so that just tied in years later to just callousing your hands, callousing your mentality, callousing your mind. Something is hard at first. Keep doing it. Something's going to change. You're going to adapt. You're going to get better. You're going to get stronger. And what was hard in the beginning is now going to be easy.
Yeah.
So that's how callus came around. And callus, that's the phonetic spelling of callus, which is, if you look it up in the dictionary. So I was just coming up with different distinctive names. Out there in social media, there's a lot of blank physique or whatever your name is, plus fitness, and I just wanted to do something different, kind of like move my mass.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's doing something different.
Right. It's catchy and it makes you think about it. Mm-hmm. In my case, it makes me explain it to someone, and when it's a conversation starter, once I explained it to someone, now they know a little bit about my own mentality. So yeah, that's how that came around.
And with that, so you're doing it from home, correct?
Correct.
And 4 kids. Your wife is a teacher.
Yes.
You're still studying.
Right.
Tell me about your day. What's a normal day for you? How do you pull it off? What time do you start?
So I start the day the night before. I get the thought of like, all right, I need to work out in the morning. So we should go to bed at this time. I should have this ready. So when I wake up, I'm not going to want to wake up, but knowing that I have this ready for my clothes, put on my shoes, whatever. So I get ready, try to get ready the night before, go to sleep. My wife is breastfeeding our baby, so she wakes up every 2 hours. Mm-hmm. I'm not breastfeeding, but I try to help out, maybe change the diaper here and there, give her a break. And around 5 o'clock is when I like to get up and work out, because that's the time that the kids are still asleep. The baby just fed, so he's not going to wake up for another 2 hours. The kids' class don't start till 9 a.m., so I have a good little window. Mm-hmm. So 5 a.m. starts, get a 1 hour workout. Luckily, my commute time is like about 30 seconds to my garage. I do my workout. And yeah, my workouts lately have been just mentally challenging. Not really setting a goal, but if I don't feel like running, then I'll force myself to run. If I don't feel like weightlifting, if I feel like doing some kind of cardio, then I'll force myself to weightlift. I'll get the vibe of what I'm feeling that morning. And when I don't want to do initially, I make myself do.
So you're saying you don't have a current, all right, push, pull legs, push, like pull
program?
Legs. Right? Yeah. No. So you wake up and you're like, what do I not want to do? And you go do that?
Right. So I'm pretty contrarian. I wake up and again, like how you just described, I feel myself out. What are my energy levels? And then I just lean opposite, because I know that that's not what my brain wants to do. My brain is giving me, hey, we should go do this because we want to do this. And the Marine Corps side of me kicks in. So, nope. About face, and let's go do that. Where you're running away from.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, if it makes it fun. It makes it interesting. The first couple of minutes are dreadful because if I don't want to go on a run, and once I start running, just like anything, once you get warmed up, you're like, all right, this is not that bad. So, yeah, that's usually try to do that early in the morning. A lot of times it doesn't happen, so I have to work that in either during lunchtime or just late in the evening.
Yeah. And what's your favorite time's morning? Obviously, because that's what you aim for.
Favorite time is morning because I don't want to wake up. So I mentally prepare myself, or I mentally make that the target, because I know I'm human like anyone. No one likes to wake up early and go work out.
Yeah.
I wish I could just wake up and just be fit.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I get it from a lot of people like, oh, well, it's easy for you. You're a trainer. You like waking up early. No, I don't. I don't like running. I don't like lifting weights, but I know that it's extremely beneficial. So that's why I just do it. Just do it. Instead of trying to find an excuse to not do it, I just do it.
And so I'm assuming your wife is taking care of the kids when you get your morning workout in?
No, luckily they're asleep.
Oh, they're still asleep.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, they wake up around 7:30. 7:30.
Right.
By that time, I'm usually in the kitchen drinking a protein shake or eating breakfast, making breakfast.
How do you work your clients in?
Early in the morning, around my workouts, either they'll come in at 4 in the morning, and then in respects to COVID, whenever they leave, I sanitize everything, and then I get my workout in. Or in the evening. Yeah, I kind of see what works for their schedule, and I make that a priority. I make them choose their times first, and whatever is left over, I'll find time.
Yeah.
If I can't find time, I'll make time, even if it means that I have to put the baby carrier on my chest and do an arm workout with the baby on my chest. I've done that before. being safe.
Right.
But that's not an excuse. I could easily say I'm not going to work out. I'm watching the kids. They're playing. Well, they can play in that far corner of the garage while I work out over here. I'm sure you've probably seen my posts on Instagram.
I have. Yes, I have.
I'm squatting and there's a baby in the background.
Right.
Yeah. In between sets, I go play with them, and then it doesn't take me more than a minute to do a set.
Well, the first thing I usually notice is how much freaking weight you have on the bar. That's what I usually notice first. I'm like, yeah, you're still strong as hell. Yeah, that hasn't gone away.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when you're training, and I've always, like, for me, when I worked at a gym, which forever ago in college, I thought it was going to motivate me to work out more, but working at the gym motivated me. Like, oh, I don't want to be here anymore. But I was there for so many hours.
Right.
Do you feel that, or do you want to work out more? Like when you have a lot of clients going, does it motivate you to work out more? Or?
No, it definitely does tax you. You're right. Yeah. I've been in the gym setting for, I don't know, a couple of hours, and I'm just tired of the smell. I'm just tired of the sounds of the gym. I'm tired of looking at the weights. Yeah, I definitely do not feel motivated after 3 or 4 hours of training. I don't feel like doing anything for myself.
Yeah, and I'm only bringing that up just for the listeners. Like, listen, every occupation, every aspect of life can take stuff out of you.
Right.
And just like you mentioned it earlier, oh, you're lucky you're a personal trainer. You like getting up early to work out. No. Well, some people do. Some people do like to get up early, but
right.
No, you know what? I earn my fitness.
Right.
I make it happen.
Right.
4 kids, you work, you study, your wife works, and you're making it happen.
Right.
And that's, every guest I have on, that's what I want to hear about. Like, how are you making it happen?
Right.
Because we all have to at
yeah.
some point. But yeah, do you plan on staying with the home routine on the personal training, or are you gonna take it to a gym somewhere at some point? what's your plan there?
Yeah. So my overall goal has been for the longest time to open my own facility, my own gym. Yeah, it's just searching for the right place, right time. Obviously, right now everything's kind of has taken a hit due to COVID. But yeah, I ultimately want to start my own gym facility, just one-on-one personal training.
Yeah, you're so right about people not using the whole gym. What would be your perfect gym? How you going to lay it out when you do open it up?
So my perfect gym would be just open space training. Mm-hmm. Machines play a role; they're important. But my belief is just functional training, open space training, and a lot of gyms aren't. A lot of big gyms, such as In Shape or another big name gym, they don't really have dead space like that, because that's space where they could put a machine and make money off of that machine, like a cardio machine or bicep station. Mm-hmm. So, but I've learned that open space is so you can do anything with it. Just a big open space of rubber flooring. You can drag a sled through it. You can stand there and do walking lunges, everything. So my perfect gym facility would be just functional open spaces. Of course, with some machines in there, specific machines in there, but more open space, personal training facility.
Yeah. You're going to get down and dirty, is what you're saying.
Right.
Essentially.
Yeah. If you walk in there, you're like, oh, what are we doing? I don't see any machines. Yeah. Oh, crap.
Right.
We're going to be doing some random stuff.
So the gym, hitting the workouts, we know what's involved there. What's your approach to nutrition? How do you take that on?
So the way I do nutrition is, a lot of my clients ask me about nutrition, and I tell them I've taken enough nutrition classes. I'm not a registered dietitian or nutritionist at all. I've taken enough classes to know that I shouldn't be telling people what to eat. I know what works for me, and I don't know your life. I know how your body works if you train with me. But outside of the gym, I don't know what your stress level is like. All that affects how your body responds to food.
Right.
Your cravings. So I know my body, and I kind of generally recommend people. I give them examples of what I do.
Now, are you, and that's where I'm headed, are you like an intuitive eater, or do you count your calories? Do you count your macros? How do you go into it?
I've done both. Mm-hmm. I've done the counting calories, counting macros. I mean, that's hard. You get used to it after a couple of weeks of doing it.
Right.
But it's hard. It's hard
to do
hard.
It seems like, you do it for a few weeks or a month. Pretty soon, it's kind of like a heart rate monitor. When I wear one for a long time, after a while, I don't even have to have one on, and I probably know what my heart rate is within a couple beats.
Right.
Plus, I know what a scoop of peanut butter looks like, and that's X amount of calories.
Right.
And then, however, and I bet you've done this. I think everybody does this. If you stop doing it, if you stop counting it or tracking it for a while, you start to either underestimate or overestimate what that that scoop is this.
Yeah.
And that's
so the way, I'll just give an example of how I eat. So the way I'll look at a plate and I'll see what I have on the plate, and it can just be food, like random food. I'll say chicken, pasta, salad. I have a big sweet tooth. I know that if I go to the pantry, we have all these snacks for the kids. We try to have healthy snacks, but they're still snacks. Mm-hmm. They're still either a little bit sugary or... So I know that that's my weakness. I'll look at my plate and I'll say, all right, these are carbs, this pasta, the rice. If I want to eat those carbs, I could just delete these carbs so that I don't go over.
Yeah.
So I won't sit here and write everything that I've eaten, how much, the portions. I'll just look at my plate like, all right, this is a good amount of protein, a good fistful of chicken or fish or steak. And if I know that I'm going to want a bag of chips later, then I'll just delete the rice. I'll put the rice back in the bowl. I won't eat pasta. I'll literally just eat the meat. Sometimes my wife will look at me weird because I'll go dump the rice out and I'll put chips in to replace the rice, which I wouldn't tell anyone else to eat that, but it works for me. It helps me check off my box of my cravings, and at the same time, I don't go overeating, as opposed to eating the chicken.
I love that example because that's real life.
Yeah,
that's not eating a big plate of chicken, broccoli, and rice every single time.
Yeah.
You're extremely fit, and you're figuring out a way to get what you want,
right,
and make it work. Love that story.
Just adapt, as opposed to eating that whole plate of chicken, noodles, salad, and then 10 minutes later, still wanting that craving to satisfy my psychological cravings, my needs.
Yeah.
And wanting to go into that pantry and grab a bag of chips. Now I've gone over. So, yeah, that's how a lot of my plates are weird like that. I know that I'll want candy later for like a pre-workout or a post-workout. So, again, I'll eat a steak, a little handful of Skittles.
Right.
And I'll delete the rice or the noodles. And it's worked. I found that's worked. There's a term for it. Flexible dieting, I believe it's called.
Okay.
So everyone has cravings. Everyone has those foods that they want, that they just can't live without. So I've just found a way to just adapt it into my meals. I don't know if that's how right or wrong that is, but it's worked for me.
Well, I definitely say it's healthy. When I say healthy, it's mentally
right.
It keeps you right. It lets you.
Yes.
Now you're not dealing with now you're, when you're playing with your kids, you're not thinking, I want those chips so damn bad.
Right.
I want those chips. I want those chips.
Right.
You had your chips, and now that's the way it is. That's the way our brains work.
Yeah.
Now you're enjoying your kids. Start thinking about the chips.
Right.
That's just one example, but
yeah, correct. So that's been the way I've adapted my eating to my life, and it's worked. And now I see my kids doing it now. Because they want a little bag of candy, and now I don't even have to tell them. They know, like, can I just eat this piece of fish so I can eat a lollipop later? I'm like, sure.
right.
I mean, they're running around burning all kinds of calories, so they could eat all of that if they wanted.
Stop. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first, I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And second, thank you for coming on. Really enjoyed the conversation.
Well, thank you for having me.
And at some point, I think I might have to get back in your gym and kick my ass a little bit if you have space for me.
Hey, there's always space.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Arturo.
Thank you so much.